Hi guys, Nikki here. It's turning out to be a really nice afternoon. I wasn't expecting all this sunshine, so if I get dark because I have a brighter background, please know I apologize and I actually welcome it. So, how are you guys doing this first day of quarantine? Um, I'm actually ready to be outside, and I think I will. I'll go clean my car out as soon as we're done here. Today, before we get started, I wanted to go, I did this on the kids' cooking video too. I want to go over how to properly wash our hands because it's very, very, very important right now. So, you want warm water, not scalding, not burn your skin off hot, but warm water. And you don't want cold water either. So, we're going to get our hands wet, pump of soap, and we are going to use friction. So, we're going to scrub in between our fingers, tops and bottoms. Scrub the tops of our hands. And remember, we're doing this for 20 seconds. And if it helps you to sing happy birthday a couple times, sing happy birthday a couple times. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, whatever. All that. And I go around my fingers because we're really trying to get all this ooey gooey bacteria off. And I do that every single one. Same with my thumbs. Lots of friction, guys. I even go up my arms. Now, when we rinse, you're just going to drop your arm under there. Rinse it off. Let all that fall off your hands. Now, don't touch the water. And I'm going to use paper towels to dry my hands off. There's an important reason behind this. So all those towels we have in our bathrooms right now, usually they're by the toilets. So think about that. Our kitchen towels, how much do we touch? And then wipe our hands on the kitchen towels, and then we don't wash our kitchen towels. Studies show that hand towels should be washed or changed out once a day. Paper towels are very sanitary. Now, turning the water off, we're going to use our paper towel to turn the water off. And I'm going to throw this away. The next thing I'm going to do, just because I'm overly precautious right now, because we touch surfaces and don't even realize we're touching them, I make my own disinfecting wipes. Got this container from the Dollar Tree, I believe. Dollar Tree, Dollar General, one of the two. It's really supposed to be like for sugar or cereals or stuff like that because it's got dispensers on the top. But it works really well for these disinfecting wipes. The way you make these disinfecting wipes is 1.5 cups of water, 1/4 cup of rubbing alcohol. I use the 91% rubbing alcohol. And then 4 to 5 drops of dish soap. You don't need it to be overly soapy because then you'll get a film on your stuff. So I'm going to wipe down the surfaces that we're going to be working with. And you want to wipe these down so that they look wet. So you know you have enough of this disinfecting stuff on it. And then you let it air dry. You let this stuff have time to sit and to work. Don't dry it off. Especially when you're dealing with like raw meat and things like that. You want to avoid cross-contamination, meaning you touch one surface and you're contaminating another surface because you touched it. I already disinfected the table that I have all my stuff on. I'm going to go over to my stove real quick and do that. This way, it has time to dry before we use it. And don't be afraid to use a little friction with that either. Okay, I'm going to put these up. Another thing I want you guys doing in this time is keep yourselves hydrated. Please keep yourselves hydrated. We can't spare any more IV pumps. Sickness is going around, whether it's the COVID-19 or not. Sickness is going around, and they're using all the IV pumps and things like that trying to care for the people that really need them. So keep yourselves hydrated and take care of yourselves really, really well. Hand washing is the most important thing we can do right now. And so I talked to the kids yesterday on the kids video, and I talked to them about cleaning supplies and what cleaning supplies we should be using. I've been in nursing school, so I've studied the Spanish flu of 1918. I understand what they're trying to do with the social distancing. It is the absolute right thing to do, guys. Absolutely. So also in microbiology, when we had to study microbiology, we tested every kind of household cleaner, essential oil, you name it that you can think of, including UV light. Now, most household cleaners don't clean as much as you think they do. Those like Lysol or Clorox or things like that have 99.9% effective against bacteria and things, those clean really well. There's still a little bit of growth. They can't guarantee none because bacteria become resistant. But the one thing that worked better than anything, let me tell you, we tried oregano essential oil, a good quality essential oil. It didn't do a hill of beans, guys. We need to be cleaner. The one thing that cleans better and is almost 100% effective 100% of the time is UV light. So think about it this way. And I love doing this. When we wash our sheets, our clothes, whatever, and hang them outside, think about how fresh they smell coming in. The reason behind that is because UV light is killing all the bacteria in the fabric. The air is moving things through the fabric. When I studied the Spanish flu of 1918, they treated people with sunlight and air. So think about that. You have yards. We're not stopped, or we're allowed to go on walks, on hikes. We need to be keeping a distance. Get you some sunlight and fresh air, especially now that Indiana has sunlight because we are without it a good portion of the time here lately. So treat yourselves well. Sunlight is going to help you mentally. It will help you physically. It'll help kill nastiness. So take advantage of it, guys. We have yards that we need to be cleaning up after this winter. Dogs that need walked, things like that. Take advantage of it. Get your bicycles out. So I'll stop that there. How we're going to start. Today we are going to be using a crock pot. I want to really make these videos so when we do go back to work, most of us are exhausted by the time we get home. We don't feel like we're cooking. We're hungry ourselves. So what's better than to have a crock pot meal that is available when you and your family gets home? So what we're making today is called crock pot ranch pork chops and potatoes. We're going to use 3 pounds of red potatoes. The ones I got today were like medium to large size, and that was 8 of those. It says 6 boneless pork chops or bone in if it's available. I would suggest bone in because you're getting that marrow and those extra nutrients from the bones. My husband likes the really thin cut sirloin chops. So the package I got today was actually ribeye chops, and there are 10 of them in here for $6.91, guys. How can you beat that feeding your family? You need a half a cup of olive oil, 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. So olive oil, it should be, if it's the real thing, it should be in a darker container so sunlight cannot denature it and cause it to spoil. Apple cider vinegar. So there are health benefits to apple cider vinegar. Cooking does take some of those away. But when you buy apple cider vinegar, you know it's good quality if it says that it's organic and unpasteurized. And if it looks like it's got little floaties in it, that's called the mother. And the mother is what gives you the benefits. It's probiotics, it contains enzymes and nutrients. So this is much, much better for you than pasteurized apple cider vinegar. Pasteurized vinegar will look very clear, not have any floaties in it or anything like that. Ranch seasoning. We need that for this. I bought this big one. I imagine it's going to last me quite a while. This was like $7 at Walmart. But it says it has 284 servings in it. So ranch seasoning. If you cannot get ranch seasoning, I did post in the comments a recipe for the ranch seasoning. And then last but not least, butter. So this is 2 tablespoons of butter cubed up. Now, this recipe didn't call for it, but I had some green onions that I needed to get used up. So I cut 3 big green onions to use in this while those are strong. And I'll show you the potatoes. So these are my potatoes. This is 8 potatoes or 3 pounds of red potatoes. The larger red potatoes, I cut in half and then I quartered those halves to make them smaller, more manageable, more easily cooked. So I also wanted to show you guys something when you're measuring liquids. You want to have your liquid on a flat surface. I think we've somehow lost the practice of this. And at the line, you're measuring from where the very dip of your liquid makes. That's called the meniscus. That is your true level line. I also wanted to show you how I measured out this ranch seasoning. So it calls for 2 tablespoons. Jiminy Christmas. Measurement is important, especially when you're baking, because baking can be very fickle. So I take my tablespoon, shake it to level it up a little bit, and I use the lid to level it off to get a nice level tablespoon. You can do the same with sugar, baking powder, baking soda. things like that. So you're not, you know, you can also use the back of a knife. That's what I learned in school, was the back of a knife. Okay, so let's get started. The first direction says that we need to sear, and this is optional. So you don't have to do this, but you need to sear your pork chops in a skillet. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Let me turn the camera. I love using my cast iron. I love, love, love it. So they say medium-high heat. You always want to preheat. If you want to sear, you want to preheat your stovetop. So I'm going to go medium-high heat and let this warm up for just a little bit. And that warmth will allow it to sear. Another important thing is you always use a couple sets of tongs. Don't use your hands. Use a fork, use whatever you got. One for raw and then one for cooked. Because remember, you don't want to cross-contaminate. Oh, crud. I forgot. So this needs to be an oiled pan too. So your cast iron, if it looks like glass, that's how you know it's seasoned really well. And then it will become non-stick. Maybe I'll do a video on seasoning your cast iron. Take some time, but don't ever, ever, ever use soap in it, because soap will take that seasoning right away. This is sealing that cast iron, those pores in the iron. I can feel that it's starting to heat up already. Now, for my oil that I like to use, I use avocado oil in my pans because it's got a higher smoke point. Avocado oil takes a much higher temperature than some oils. So that's why I use avocado oil. And that I always, so avocado oil will also be in a darker container so it doesn't spoil. You'll know it if it does. But I always get like, and even olive oil, first cold pressed. Avocado oil, I actually use that on a lot of my salad dressings too. Same with grapeseed. Grapeseed doesn't have as high a smoke point as avocado, but they're really good for your salads. Give this one more minute to warm up. And it's really important. So you got a hot pan, cold oil. And I just make one spin around the pan. And you can salt and pepper your meat at this time too. Let me grab the meat. All right. I don't think I'm going to get all of these in the pan all at once. Not quite hot enough, but it'll work. So I make sure I run them around in the oil too. Oh, there it's starting to sizzle. And you try not to crowd your pan, because then your meat won't cook evenly. So remember, this is for raw meat. I am going to go ahead and wash my hands again real quick. so I can grab another set of tongs. Okay. I am going to cover this though, because I tend to make a mess, and that helps me not make a mess. So, I am only going to do these 5. I'm only going to do half of that because my son's at his dad's right now, so it's only 2 of us. Now, if you have a big family, you may want to do the whole pack. Obviously, we wouldn't eat it in time before it spoils. So, trying not to waste food right now, or ever, really. But once we get these pork chops seared, and to sear them, you want to get that really high heat and get that really good cover. So don't move them. Don't mess with them. Let them cook. That's how you get that really crisp, caramelized color on them. And I'm going to grab my salt. So I'm not going to use pepper on these because I'm allergic to pepper. But I am going to salt them. And of course, we're having some. There we go. I just filled it, so it's being a little complicated for me. I'm going to grab my other set of tongs. This is a new set of tongs. I know they look the same, but this is a new set because we're using them on cooked meat now. They're starting to smell good already, actually. So, ooh. Do you guys have any plans for what we're going to do for the rest of, oh, let me back up so you can see me. For the rest of the week. I know it's midweek, and we're usually really happy about this being hump day and the work being half over for the week. I know my husband's still at work. He's considered an essential worker because part of what they do goes to build walkways for bridges. So he's still at work. I'm home. I have 2 dogs that are driving me absolutely bonkers, but I love them. And odds are you'll hear them. But I really kind of miss hanging out with people. I'm an extrovert, and I love being around people. So self-quarantining or isolation is really, really hard for me. And it's even more hard for me as a pastor, knowing that there are people out there that are hurting through this, that have loved ones that are dealing with this COVID-19, or that are working through this in medical facilities and things like that, that are scared that they're going to bring it home to their families. That's real feeling, guys. And it's okay to feel those feelings. You know, not one of us is unaffected at this point. COVID-19 is our life right now. And it's not easy. Nobody said this is going to be easy. But the sooner we can do the self-quarantining and not going out and protecting others, hopefully the sooner it will be done. So please, listen to the experts. Listen to the people that know what they're talking about. Listen to the other countries that are, making it through this too. I'm gonna crack that lid just a little bit so it gets more heat going. It smells really, really good though. And again, this step isn't necessary. It just adds that little bit of flavor from the caramelization and the color to it. I always like searing my meat. Even before I have an Instant Pot, I always sear my meat before I start pressure cooking it as well, just to give it that little bit of crispness to it. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Not quite browning the way I want it. Forgive the noise. I'm going to turn this fan on low too. It looks like it's browning up nice though. They're getting some nice juice going and color. I'm going to put this in the sink. I'm going to go ahead and make a mess, folks. I'm going to wiggle them around a little bit just to make sure that fat's not sticking to the pan. Because sometimes fat does like sticking on me. There we go. They're actually quite juicy. And even the sides a little bit. I'll show you. The sides are getting a little bit of color with them too. There we go. While this is working, I'm going to go ahead and grab this stuff. We'll leave that go for a second. And we'll get everything set up and mixed up to go in the crock pot. So while that's searing, it says mix the oil, ranch, and apple cider vinegar. So here's our, I'm sorry, you can't even see me. Wow. Maybe I should hire a cameraman. That's too funny. There I am. Okay, so here we have our oil, olive oil. We have our ranch. We're just going to mix this for the sake of not having to do extra dishes right into that measuring cup. There's our oil, our ranch, and our apple cider vinegar with the butter. We're going to mix that all together. Oh, those pork chops sound good. Okay. And it looks a little bit like sludge. Appetizing. Check pork chops. There we go. So that's got the color on it. Well, you can't really see. Good peculiar. I'll bring it over to you here in a second. I even sometimes swap where my stuff is in the pan, because sometimes the pan gets hotter in one area than the other. That's why I like using cast iron though, because it gets pretty even. So here we go. Can you see that color on the pork chop? Not really. I'm going to turn that up. Getting a little steamy in here, folks. Let's see if I can show you this one. That's what a good sear looks like. Shouldn't take too much longer, actually. Second side's searing a little better, I think. Sometimes I hold them down so it gets a little more sear. Kind of like pressing bacon. If you remember back in the old days, they used to put bacon presses on our bacon to keep it flat and to get it more crispy. Now, I want you to know that I am not pushing the juices out of it. I'm just kind of bringing it down to the pan to get it a little more even. Because we don't want our juices to come out. We want to keep, that's part of the purpose of searing your meat too, is to keep it nice and juicy, to lock those juices in there. Fan was not high enough. There we go. Oh, those are looking good, folks. All right, I'm gonna let you see what it looks like real quick. That's what they look like. That one is a really excellent sear. So we're gonna turn those off. And we're gonna come over. Let the light adjust a little bit to our crock pot. Okay. And what the instructions say are we are to place the pork chop and the potato in the slow cooker. So I think I'm going to put about half the potatoes in. A little bit. And then I will bring our pork chops over. Place our pork chops on top of those potatoes. Woo, cast iron can be heavy. Pour the rest of the potatoes in. As well as our green onions. which are absolutely optional. I was just getting green onions used up. And I'm gonna mix this up one more time. Remember, this is our oil, our apple cider vinegar, and our ranch powder. And we are just going to pour this over the top. And then we're going to take a spoon and try to get everything coated really well with that dressing mixture. Our pork chops, our potatoes, our green onions, just making sure everything's really coated and mixed in together. So everything gets the flavor. And let me tell you what, this smells really, really good. I can't wait to see what it smells like in a little bit. Okay. That's that. Easy peasy, guys. We're going to put the lid on it. And it says, oh, and I forgot. I'm sorry. We have butter yet to use. We are supposed to be putting the butter down on top of this. Just placing the little cubes of butter here, there, and everywhere. Just so it gets melted and mixed in. And the great thing about crock pots is it's set it and forget it. So it says we are cooking on high heat for 3 hours. So slow cook, we're on high heat, and I'm going to go up to 3 hours. And it's going to go automatically start, and in 3 hours, we'll have really good pork chops. You can also cook this on low for 5 to 6 hours, guys. Your choice. I like mine that it has the delayed function, and I can set the time to start when we need it. Some don't have that. Now, an alternative option would be going to get one of those plug-in timers and setting that timer for when you want it to start and when you want it to stop. So there's my tips for today. That's how to make the crock pot ranch pork chops and potatoes. If you have any questions, leave the questions in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I see them. Have a great night, guys.